setting myself a challenge. Can I build a 172 Airfix Spitfire in an 8-hour day? Let's crack on! Here's the box, unopened, so I'm starting from afresh. Here we go, let's pull the box open. There's the kit, sealed, so I'm not cheating. I've never done this before, but I thought I'd set myself this challenge. So, instructions, which you've all seen, if you've built Spitfires before. So very nice, easy instructions, and a painting scheme on the back of the box, which I'm trying and replicate. Now obviously with this build I've not accounted for paint drying times or anything, so I'm going to be using everything at my disposal to get this build done. So this should be a bit of a laugh, really. It's something I've always wanted to try. It's been inspired by Steam Geezer, one of my favourite YouTubers. He did a Land Rover build in about 6 hours, so I thought, well, my favourite Airfix model is the Spitfire. So yeah, quick look at the kit, everything's good. Usual quality of Spitfire kits, very nice. Clear parts are there, so I've got another hook. Right, now before I prime, I'm going to take the pilot off the sprue, because while the primer's drying, I can be painting him. So this is my first one. Oh, get him off the sprue. Oh, dang, he's a bit thick, isn't he? Try and get him off, and then I can prime. Oh, I can't use my cutters. I've got to slow down a bit. More haste, less speed. Let's get him off. I'm going to go for the landing gear down option, because I think that's only fair. So with him freed up, I'm now going to prime this lot, and I'll be using the high coat primer. I'll prime the frame, so I'm going to use my USB fan to aid with the drying process, and while that's drying I shall be painting the pilot. I'm going to tidy him up and then add a bit of RAF Blue and some of the details. Right, thanks to the USB fan, everything's dried really quickly. I didn't check for mould bits. There's a couple there. I'll take that off. That's not a problem. That's part of the model, I think. That's good, that's good. So 78 interior green, which using my spreadsheet will tell me I can't find it. Oh dear, I think it's in my rack. A little quick rummage. 78, there we go. Interior. So we'll get a brush, put a bit of paint onto a damp, water onto a damp tissue. This is just my brush cleaning stuff. It doesn't really matter because it's fine there, I think. Squeeze a bit out if I can. Come on. Oh, cocktail stick's always good for these bits. Trouble with the recent heat is all my bottles have gummed up, so I've got to let it all cool down, put some thinner in them. There we go. That's a bit thin, but it's fine. And then we'll paint the interior parts with this brush. I'm not going to add too much detail because I'm going to have the canopy closed and the pilot in there. So I'm just going to paint over these bits with a brush very quickly before I take it all off the sprue, because I just think it's easier when you're in a bit of a rush just to paint it like this. So bits of 78 painted, now going in front of the fan. I'll dry them off and I'll continue with the pilot. while that's all drying, I'm going to start on the prop. I'm not going to make it spin, I'm just going to get it into the model. So let's just cut these bits out. That's the prop released. The spinner section is there. And the nose cone is there. That's that off. Just tidy up. Get the prop in place, so I don't bother clearing up the bits in between the props. You don't see them anyway, so there's no point. Right, get a bit of Tamiya, just glue that into place. And then I call it the cone, I don't quite know what it's supposed to be called, but that goes into place, and another bit of Tamiya around the outside just to seal that in. Right, cockpit together. Little splodge of Rovel in there. Revel. Just to put that in. Like that. And then whilst that is drying, get the transfer out for the cockpit. Pair of scissors. Where my scissors go? Disaster. Oh, there. It's now 5 to 11, so I'm putting the decal for the cockpit in to soak. Oh crikey, everything's going a bit skew with. Get the decal sheet out of the way. There's Humbrol's own decal fix, because I find this always helps. No matter where the decal is, it's always good. Decal brush. Bit of a soak in, and then get that on there where the decal is going to go, like that. And what I do now is I use a pair of reverse action tweezers just to hold that like that, to make it easier for me to put this on. Come on, there we go, let's come off now. So with a scalpel, just back of the scalpel, put it on and then manoeuvre it into position. Bloody cats in here. And the decals on. Cotton bud to get rid of the excess. And allow that to dry for a couple of minutes. So whilst all that is curing, I'm going to do the wing sections. So get them off the frame. Cool, that's a bit thick. There we go. That one, and oh, that's it. And cut these off. So I started this bang on 10 o'clock, so I'm keeping an eye on the time. It's a bit of an adventure, this. Right, we'll get the wings off. There we go, put the frame down to one side. I'm going to stop that fan now because it's annoying me. That's it. Now with a scalpel, just tidy up the edges where it was on the sprue. The sprue gates, I believe they're called. Right, there's nothing there, there's nothing on there, there's one there. Tidy that up. There's one there. Get a small sanding pad and just tidy those edges up so they all fit nicely. Now I know from experience with these builds that this part of the lower wing section is always too long, so I'm going to really give that a bit of a rub in just to make sure it fits inside the fuselage without me having to struggle near in the build sort of thing towards the end. Right, okay, that's that done, that's that done. Let's do the wing tops. That bit needs to come off. That's done, get that bit off of there. That bit off of there. Now just work out which way these go around just before I start to seal them in, because I have made this mistake before when I was starting out. Just get them as square as possible, like that. The reason why that's not going in, why is that? Have I got, oh, it's those things. Right, my usual trick. Revel in the pots and on the edges, and then Tamiya to seal the leading edges. So along there, and in there, along there, in there. Oh, nearly had an accident then. Got my clamps. I think 4 will do. And then join the models to get their wings together like this. Right, using the clamps like that just to seal them in. Make sure that is definitely in, yes. And give that a squish. Try not to get any fingerprints. The same with this wing. Offer it up. And then clamp it. Exactly the same places as before. Make sure it's all seated nicely, like that. And then with the Tamiya, just run it along the leading edges to get that to fit together. There's a bit of a gap there, but we can always do something with that towards the end. Wing sections. Separate the clamps from the model and put them away, otherwise they just clutter things up. Get my section of sprues where I have wing components, so cut that off there and that off there. I've got nothing else on here for the wings, no, next bit. So we're going to want this piece and this little piece, which I'm bound to snap off, but you know, we'll put it on anyway. And there's a front air intake, I know there is, and I can't find it. It's here somewhere. There it is, just spotted it. So this piece here, cut this off as well. And there's another little wedge, which is that bit there. As I said, I've built this model many times, so I pretty much know which bits to go where. I'm just going to try and get that off the sprue, that's it. I'm using my scalpel, tidy these little tiny bits up. And just take these little bits of sprue off, just to make sure they stay off. And it's tidy. Anything else? There's another piece there, let me tidy that up. Just to make sure, and get my sanding pad, give that a rub. I don't know if I'm doing my nails or the component at the moment, but oh, don't ping. Right, this piece, tidy those bits up. Again, another bit of sanding where it was. So I'm using every trick I've got with my catalogue of amateur skills to make sure this goes together as quickly as possible. Now this piece sits in there, that way round. So a little dot of revel, get that on in there. Oh, if I can pick it up, that is. Right, so push that into there, like that. That's in place. Tidy this piece up. Let's give it a scrape and a clean. Get these sprue gates off. And drop that in there. Like that. This little tiny piece, which is no doubt going to pin, but we can do our best with it. A little bit of revel in there. Tweezers very carefully. Oh, put that in there. It should, from memory and previous build experience, just slot straight in like that. There we go. That's in. Now we just tidy this piece up. Put the revel down either side, and then that bit goes around that way. I know again from experience, drop that in there and push that down. There we go. That bit there needs a bit of a file, a bit untidy there. I don't want it to look rubbish, even though it is a quick build. I know Airfix do their own quick build brand, but I thought, see what I can do on my only day off this week if I can actually get a Spitfire built, release a YouTube video in a day. So there we go. Just tidy that up. Now I did notice that a few of these sections haven't sat properly. I'm just going to tidy that up as well. There's a little bit of sprue gate on there, I think. I know it's a bit of glue, hasn't quite cured. So scrape that off, tidy that up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a bit of Tamiya and just run that in that seam where it didn't quite stick. Because the last thing I want is a bit of untidy joining. Just in there like that. And then we'll fit a clamp on there to hold that in place just while it cures. The fuselage halves still on the sprue. I'm going to take the cockpit and do a dry fit to make sure it goes in where it's supposed to and square it up nicely. Make sure it's all square. I just find it easier to do it on the sprue and it is loose. So this is from experience. It's not a tip if you want to do this or not, it's entirely up to you, but I just find it easier. So yep, that's good. It's in there. A little bit of Tamiya to get that section in. That's it, give it a good splodge so it stays it. I'll hold it for a couple of seconds until it really cures. I think my pilot's come loose. Yes, he has. I'll have to reseat him again. Ugh. Oh dear. I'm trying to turn a marathon into a sprint, that's the trouble. Just make sure that is definitely square inside the cockpit with the gun sight and everything else as it's supposed to be. There we go, that's in. Now we just square that up to there and then give that another splodge of Tamiya in that corner there. Right, the fuselage halves are joined together, so now it's just clearing up the sprue gates like I said earlier, just with a scalpel, gently whittling away, trying avoiding panel lines. That's it, that's that one done, and there's usually one under here, which is usually awful. I don't know why this one's always the worst, but it is. And we'll just clean that up. And using my sanding stick again. Trying not to damage the panel lines too much. If I do, I just get a scalpel and just run it round just to re-emphasise the panel line. It's not brilliant, but it does its trick. That's done. Now we can join the wings to the fuselage. Now, as I said earlier, this model, this mould, has a particular problem with the rear, and that's why I filed it earlier, so that it doesn't do that anymore. So just got to try and get that in. So what I do is, because I built the wings first and not put the tops on afterwards, you have to be a bit flex it into place like that. It does go, you just need to be a bit brute force and ignorance. That's it, just push it home. There we go, and that's why I filed that little bit there. You can see what I took off. It's just to make sure that it all fits, and it's gone on rather nicely, which is a relief. So, using Tamiya, let's just seal that all in. Ordinarily I'd fill that, but because this is a quick build, I'm not going to. Now that isn't quite flush, I'll just give that an extra push in, and then give that another wipe with the Tamiya, just to make that fit. So it's now 5 to 12, and I've got the wings on a fuselage done. Right, it's now midday, my watch. So I've been at it 2 hours, and I'm just going to glue the canopy into place now. A little bit of Tamiya I find is really good with these. It doesn't smoke up, it doesn't do anything to the clear plastic part, just a little bit along the edges just to seal it in, and it's done. Canopy is setting in place. Let's get the tail plane components off. Oh, it's stiff. Come on, that's it. Oh, come on. And then that one. That's it, that's off. And then the rudder. Off the sprue. And you can use cutters, I just use a scalpel because it gives me a cleaner break from the sprue, I find. And then just clean up the bits that are left on there. Right, tail sections. Just got to be careful which way you put these up. So this bit goes on the top of the tail section. So let's see how that fits first before we decide which glue we're using. So that doesn't go in there at all. Oh, that's in. It's a nice tight fit as well. So we square it up with the wing like that. Again using Tamiya because it's quicker drying than Revel. Just swipe it along the seams of the join like that. And the same again with the other side. Oh, that's not the bit I was after, it's that bit. Push that home as well. Try not to push the other one out. That's it. They're both in and very tidy. Well done, Airfix. Move that into position, lay it on the board and just give it a good squeeze together. Make sure they're level with each other, which they're not quite. So just a little bit of squaring up. Like that. And then using Tamiya, again along the seams to seal that together, and let that go off. Now I always use bevel contactor, Humbrol polished cement for this, sorry, if I can undo the tube, because this grabs, I like the way it grabs, so I'm just going to put a little tiny dribble along there, get my rudder section, and then fit that into place like that, and it grabs it instantly. That's what I like about it. Square it up like that onto the model, and I've just put a fingerprint on there. Ho hum, never mind, I'll clean it off with a sanding stick in a minute. Right, I'm going to leave that for at least half an hour to let that cure. Again, this is, I wasn't planning for this to take so long, but it is where it is. You just have to go with the chemical curing time. Whilst the tailplane dries in position, I'm just going to get a little bit of varnish, gloss varnish, and just seal in this cockpit green in the undercarriage. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to mask this with blue tack, and if I don't, it will take the acrylic paint off. So I'm just going to just dab a little bit of varnish in there and then shove it in front of the fan to get it to dry uber quickly. There we go, just to seal that paint in. So whilst everything's curing and going off, I'll get my phone, my UCut app, and start doing the editing for the video. So I've made a start already. I'm setting myself a challenge. Can I build 172 Airfix Spitfire in an 8-hour day? Let's crack on! I've already made a start, so I'll add bits to the videos I've done on either my laptop or my phone, and then by the end of which I'll have beginnings of an aircraft or model that I can now start to mask and paint and finish off. Well, that was a master blue tack, Humbrol 90 in the airbrush. Let's start painting. And now that paint's dried, a quick dose of gloss varnish to protect it from the Tamiya tape that I'm going to have to use for masking. Right, it's now 2:45. There's a hell of a storm raging outside. Adds a bit of drama to the build, I think. So now the varnish is dried, I'm going to give it a bit of a masking. So what I do is a 6mm tape along the wing edges, like that. Not being too precious about it, but just get them along there like that. There is something about the Spitfire and its elliptical wing, without a doubt. There's just something that just sort of, I don't know, captures the imagination. It's just, yeah. I know Airfix make a lot of Spitfires and everything else, but I mean, come on. It's one of the most iconic aircraft ever to have flown, I think. So anyway, because of the rain, I'm going to get on masking this, because you probably can't hear me at the moment. That's really sheeting down. It's stair rods out there. Oh, we need a bit of rain, I must admit. So I'll get on with masking this, and then I'm going to try that aerosol out. Right, the rain's abated a little bit. And I've got my Humbrol 29 rattle can. So let's give this a go. that's good. That's a lot easier on the airbrush. Now we'll just get the USB fan onto it. I'll pile up a couple of pots, put that like that, and then just angle the fan down to dry that out. So that brown dried incredibly quick with the help of the USB fan. So now I'm going to start doing freehand painting on with my airbrush. Final bits before I do the varnishing on the top is the exhaust. So I'm going to drop a little bit of Revel. Oh, if that can come off. Just make sure that hasn't gummed up, that's fine. And just fit these in there. One in there, and then one in there. Give it a good squeeze, make sure they're in. I've also painted gun ports with red, and I'll fix the mast on as well. So I reckon that's now ready for gloss varnish before I do the decals. So while the fan is drying the varnish off the top side, I'm going to cut out the decals ready to put onto the aircraft. So I just cut into manageable sections. Just saves a bit of time in the process. It's now 10 to 4, so time is definitely getting short. I've only got till 6 o'clock tonight for an 8-hour day, so let's see where we can get to with this. Right, decals. So reverse action tweezers, grip it like that and drop it in the water. Decal fix, as that's my go-to. As I said before, I get the Humbrol points or Airfix points or whatever they're called for ordering new models. My dedicated Humbrol brush, I just use separate brushes for separate jobs. That way I don't mix chemicals and whatnot. I get a little bit of decal fix. Looking at that, this one will go, if I can get the box up properly so I can see it, there. So I'm just going to put a little smidge on there. Now this gun maintenance port here is often quite problematic with decals, so they need a lot of decal fix to bend into shape. They will go, it just takes a lot of work. So I'm going to do this one and then I'll do the rest off camera, because I'll try and do multiple at the same time, and I'm hoping they'll release within decent time, because I want to get this done for 6 o'clock, and it is now, my watch, just gone 5 to 4. Nothing like setting a tight deadline, is there? Well, that's now released, so same trick as always. Back of the scalpel, flat edge, pin it and just pull the paper away like that. So discard the paper, wet the decal a bit more, because I really want that to form to that gun maintenance piece. Move the roundel into place, which is roughly there. Yeah, the other side of the gun port, which is about there. So if I line it up with that corner, that gives me a datum for the other one. Now with a cocktail stick cotton bud thing, take the excess off. It's always better to take the excess off. And then, working from the middle outwards, try not to break the underside pitot tube, roll it into position. This does take a bit of doing and a bit of patience, especially with the Spitfire wing and that gun port. Just have to really work it in there. You just say it is going, it just takes a bit of work. Oh, I moved it. Great big leery fairy. Let's just see if I can ease that back into place again. Oh, I'm hoping they all don't go like this. I'll get that in that corner and that there, and try that again. So just with that, roll it over that gun maintenance port, get it in there, and just keep rolling it, getting all the air out, all the folds out as best as possible. There will be a few on this, it's just a matter of being patient with it and just working it into the model. I know there's Mark Setter and Decal Setter and all the other products, but as I said, I like the Decal Fix as it gives me loyalty points from further Airfix models. There you go, it's finally going. You see that, I don't think you can see the light there, but it is definitely starting to form to the model. Just get that a really good push down with a cotton bud to get that in there. There we go, get that down. These gun ports are problematic, you have to be really patient with them. It's the only two decals on this model that are a pain, which is one of the reasons why I do them first, just to get them out of the way. That's it, just push that really hard. What I do is a bit more Decal Fix just on where the gun port is, and then just push that down a bit more, just to get that to form. There we go, that's formed very nicely. I say, it is all just patience. Something of which sometimes I don't have, I openly admit. I just want to get on with the build, but it's gone really nice, this one. That's on, that's formed lovely. So I'll do the other side and then we'll do the other decals. It's 5 o'clock, an hour to go, so a bit of revel in now, and put the aircraft leg in, undercarriage leg I mean, in there. Let's settle in place. I'll touch up the outsides in a minute and then get that one in. That one's in nicely, make sure they're reasonably square with each other. Crikey, that storm's still raging out there. That's it, just let that go off for a few minutes. We'll find the rear wheel. Where's that gone? There it is. So I'll take that off. Where's my scalpel gone? There we are. I'm against time now, so I'm starting to get a bit flappy. Get that off, that's it. Tidy that up. Tidy the wheel up, don't drop it at this late in the stage. What I'll do, I'll fix the wheel and then I'll paint that tyre when it's fixed. So we'll come to the rear piece here, drop a revel in there and then slide that into position. If it'll go, which all of a sudden I don't think it will. It's not going to fit. It's too thick. So close. Oh, there we go, it's got in. Marvellous, it's in. Right, okay, bit of 33 for that wheel whilst those undercarriage legs are drying. Let's pick it up by somebody that hasn't got a transfer on it, because they will come off, you know it, and just paint that wheel in like that. Last piece of the build, taking the masking off of the cockpit canopy. Now everything is done. very carefully, very slowly, so I don't damage the plastic clear part, which has happened to me in the past. I've just got to try and start it with a scalpel back and then tweezer it off. It's a painstaking episode, especially as it is now 25 to 6 nearly. Talk about cutting it fine. Crikey. So there we go, my 8-hour build Spitfire. I've only done it with about 10 minutes to spare though, and some parts aren't quite dry, but yeah, I think that's quite an achievement. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode. Cheers!